Coach, when you're ready, if you would give us a quick statement and then we'll take questions.
Well, it was an extraordinary year. I think we made adaptations every day, and I think the players responded to that. The coaching staff responded to it in a way that allowed us, even in the game last night, when we had to make adaptations in the game, whether Smitty going down, Mechie going down, the next guys came in and played well, and really didn't skip a beat. So I think the game was actually sort of a reflection of the year in terms of the extraordinary circumstances that we had and this extraordinary job our players, our coaching staff, and everybody did making adaptations to those things, which is ability to adapt is probably a real key to being successful, especially in times like these. So just couldn't be prouder of a group of young men and a coaching staff that did a phenomenal job.
Thank you very much. Let's start our questions. We'll go first to Dennis Dodd.
Nick, congratulations again. This is going to lead, or has led to, the talk of expansion in the future. How do you feel about that? And can you imagine, at this point, everything you've put on the line, having to play another game right now?
I have mixed emotions about expansion. I always said way back when we started this whole playoff thing, and even when we started just having a 2-team national championship game, that this would, reflect poorly on players' interest in playing in bowl games. I think that's come to fruition with the number of guys that opt out and don't play. And one of the great things about college football is a lot of players got rewarded for got a lot of positive self-gratification for having a good season by being able to go to a bowl game. And there was a lot of interest in all those games, and there were some great matchups. And, we have some great bowl partners in college football. And, now that we have a playoff, even though it's 4 teams, all the attention goes to the playoff. And the importance of bowl games has been minimized with fans, players. So I don't know if that's good or bad. So if we expand, that's going to further diminish the importance of bowl games. And maybe those two things can't coexist. And if they can't coexist, then having a bigger playoff would probably be a good thing.
We'll go next to John Zener.
Good morning, Coach. I know in the moment you're celebrating everything last night, but how long does it take your mind to, whether it's to-do list, what you got to do to get back to contend again? How quickly do you turn to that kind of mentally?
Well, the to-do list started after the game last night, meetings with players. We'll continue to have meetings with players, whether it's draft status. And then one of the other unusual things is seniors can even come back if they want to come back next year. So talking to some of those guys, so we got juniors that have to make decisions about the draft. So those things are pretty immediate. And we started on them last night, right after the game. So it's an ongoing process, building a team. And, I don't think you can fall asleep at the switch for a minute if you want to try to do it the right way for your players and your program.
Take our next question from Dan Ralph.
Morning, Coach. Thank you again. I wanted to ask you about what the experience for John Mechie this year was, and how you see him growing next year as a defending champion and a starter on this offense.
Well, John Mechie played outstanding football for us all year. He showed a lot of grit and toughness because he's had a bad ankle for about the last half of the season. It was very difficult for him to practice. He actually didn't practice one play for all the practices that we had for this last game, other than walkthroughs and doing a little bit of individual, and then goes out and plays extremely well in the game. He didn't make it through the game, but I think it shows a lot of competitive toughness on his part, a lot of grit, a lot of determination, and a lot of mental toughness to be able to go through and do what he did. So And I think all those things are going to serve him well in the future in terms of his continued growth as a player, and his production and performance, I think will sort of verify that, next year, because the guy is a very talented guy. He's a hard worker, and it's important to him.
Let's go next to Donnie Woods.
Coach, congratulations on your 7th national championship. I know, moving forward, you need a new offensive coordinator. Are you expecting any other coaches to find a new job? And then how close are you to hiring a new offensive coordinator?
We always let you know those things, when they happen. I can't make any predictions about our staff. I think we have a wonderful staff. I like the chemistry on our staff. We're happy for Sark. I don't know what other opportunities will be out there for our coaches. So we'll just have to wait and see. I can't answer that. And, it's an ongoing process for us to, find the right offensive coordinator. And we're certainly in the process of doing that.
We'll go next to Leo Johnson.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the win. In your opinion, how much did Mac Jones improve this season, and what do you think his future holds?
Well, I think Mac Jones had a phenomenal season. I mean, the completion percentage that he had, the accuracy, the command of the offense, the understanding of coverage and getting the ball to the right guys, consistency in performance. Guy just played awesome. He's a very bright guy. And I think it's a lesson for a lot of people out there to look at how important it is to emphasize your development, because each year Mac was here, he actually said to me on the stage last night when we were getting a championship trophy, he said, "Can you believe this? From a scout team quarterback to winning a national championship." But I think sometimes people aren't willing to make the kind of sacrifices that you have to make to go through that kind of development to eventually become the kind of player Mac has become. And I think he has a very bright future. We'll actually talk about that, sometime here in the next day or two. But he has a really bright future. He's already graduated. He's already got a master's degree. And he certainly had a great year.
We'll go next to West Lammy.
Coach Saban, congratulations. Coach, obviously, can you share personally just the year for yourself in terms of managing your program this year, and obviously you even missing a game because of COVID? How has it been for you mentally, and obviously, where does this season rank for you?
Well, just like the players, we told the players that they would have to adapt or die in terms of all the things that would happen this year. And we also told them in the beginning, whoever manages these circumstances and situations and disruptions is going to be the team that had the best chance to be successful. And none of the things that happened affected our team. First false positive I had, missed 3 days before the Georgia game. Players just didn't skip a beat. But that was their mindset all year. Missing the Auburn game, didn't skip a beat. So I think there was a resiliency that we all developed because of the constant changes, and knew that everybody was going to have to be able to adapt if we were going to be able to survive as a team. And everybody sort of adopted that and accepted that and didn't let these things, bother them. But look, I'm focused on what I need to do to help our program continue to be successful. We've had a lot of support. Every year is a new year. Every year is a new challenge. So, you like to enjoy this game for a minute, but we also know there's a lot of challenges in the future.
Let's go next to Susan Degman.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations on the win. Do you, I know you want to enjoy this for a minute, but do you foresee, a whole different type of team to start out next season when you're playing Miami. And I was wondering about the process to begin for next season. When does that begin for a coach? And I'm just wondering about Miami and what you know about them.
I really don't know much about them at all. Obviously we had a big game last night, and we had a big game last week, and we had a big game before that, the SEC championship game. So look, the first thing we do is, talk to the players about the future. Next week, we'll talk to every player on the team about strengths, weaknesses, things they need to do to work on in the offseason to get better, whether it's from a personal standpoint, whether it's an academic standpoint, a behavioral standpoint, or a football standpoint. And the process of trying to get our players to improve, and then managing the team that we have. And I think in this day and age, the way your roster can move, you don't know for sure exactly how that's going to be right now. Guys going out for the draft, some players transferring. So we just have to take it one day at a time. But that process begins immediately. We'll go through off-season program the best we can. We'll go through spring practice if we have spring practice. And we'll continue to try to recruit the best we can. And hopefully we get back to normal here sometime soon.
We'll take our next question from Dennis Dodd.
Nick, it's one thing for you to historically give these coaches jobs or a second chance in your program, but how do you explain their success? Obviously, Mike Loxley has left, Lane, Sark, Butch has a job now at Arkansas State. What has happened within that program that has allowed them to succeed?
Well, I think, first of all those guys made a significant contribution to the success of the program. And in most cases, they were in a leadership role. Even Butch was a special assistant to me and was very helpful to me. The other guys were all coordinators, did a wonderful job as coordinators, were very productive, and showed that they had leadership ability and the command of a system offensively that could help a program be successful. And they all had head coaching experience and backgrounds. And I think that the process that we use at Alabama, even though we've been fortunate to have a lot of good players and a lot of good coaches, is something that sometimes people would like to know more about. So sometimes they're interested in people who've had experience in that. So I'm happy for all those guys that they were able to get jobs, and they were able to improve professionally because of the great job they did for us.
Take our next question from Steve Moulton.
Coach, congratulations on the championship last night. And yeah, I've heard you in the past talk about team identity. And really, now that you've come to the finish line of this team with the pause in November to ultimately getting to this national championship and winning, what are you going to remember most about this team this year, Coach?
I think this team showed great perseverance, great resiliency. This is probably the team togetherness on this team. This was kind of the ultimate team. These guys were like a high school team in terms of how they got along together, how they supported each other, how they played together, how they overcame adversity. So, we've had teams here that have had probably more talent overall. I know we're a very talented offensive team, but I'm just saying overall, lots of players, lots of places that never accomplished what this team accomplished. And very difficult to go undefeated. It's very difficult to deal with success, but whatever the challenge was for this team, they were able to do it. But I think what I'll remember most is never had any issues at all, not any complaining at all. Everybody bought into what we ask them to do on a daily basis. Never any complaining about anything. This is just the most together, committed group I think we've ever had the opportunity to be associated with. And I think that's special. And I think all these guys on this team will remember being part of this team for the rest of their life, because it's a really, really exceptionally special experience to bring a group of people together, have them all buy into the principles and values that it takes to be successful and make the sacrifices, have the work ethic, especially in a year like this where you had to overcome so much adversity and then accomplish what they were able to accomplish. Really special. So I'm going to remember this as a very special group.
Take our next question from Mike Rodak.
What did it mean to have Jaylen Waddle on the field, and just how did his level of participation or his effectiveness compare to his own expectations going into this game?
Well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that Jaylen was not 100% in the game. I think he was 100% fast, exploding, straight line, had a difficult time cutting off of that foot and slowing down. Those are the two things, that decelerating and cutting off of that foot were the two issues for him. And we just had a limited plan for him. We really had like plays that he could run where he could run in a straight line and didn't have to do a lot of cutting and didn't have to do a lot of route running and changing direction and doing some of the things that he's so good at, which is going in motion and running bubbles and orbits and all that kind of stuff. But as we lost receivers in the game, Smitty went down, Mechie went down. That group showed tremendous resiliency in this game to keep the next player coming in and doing a good job. So he probably played a little bit more there in the third quarter than what we had anticipated. We wanted 10 or 12 plays. He wanted to play. He was medically cleared to play. We knew he wasn't 100%, and he knows he's not 100%, but he thought he could contribute to the team. And I think he did in a very positive way. He had 3 catches in the game and they were all sort of critical, type things. And, my hat's off to him I had the same injury. So I know the difficulties coming back from that. You're healed, but your ankle's so stiff and it's difficult to, sort of get the flexibility and the flexion back so you can explode like you want to, especially when you drop your weight on that foot, which comes when you slow down and you're trying to make a cut. So I have a lot of respect for Jaylen Waddle, his mental toughness and his ability and hard work that he did to be able to come back.
Coach Saban, thanks for being with us today. And again, congratulations on the national title.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.